Morning, everybody. John Spiokla here for GAI Insights with our Gen AI news briefing on the essential, important, or optional news. Today, we're going to go through a number of things. Anthropic publishing some new system prompts. We have some fantastic new stuff from NIM and NVIDIA in terms of building agents. Zero-based redesign. How do you get the real costs out once you put these things in? DeepMind and UC Berkeley are doing a fantastic new job on trading off inference versus the creation of better models. Cerebras has an unbelievable new AI Wafer that is about 10 times cheaper than the options, and OpenAI is racing to put in Strawberry. So those are the things we're covering today. Adam, could you start us off with Anthropic?
Yeah, you gonna share up the screen, or who is doing that?
Yes, I'll be right there.
So the article, the headline there just says Anthropic publishes the system prompts that make Claude tick, and it's cool. I think it's good they're doing it. Basically, it's as it says, they're publishing the system prompts. It's something they're going to continue to do ongoingly in the spirit of transparency and trying to model what they believe is the right approach to bring these models to market. The fact is, these models have already been jailbroken. People have published their system prompts. It's not a secret per se. It's just them making it more apparent that they're being transparent, I guess you could say. But I consider it an optional news.
Yeah, I really do think it's optional, but it's interesting to know how through the prompts, the Anthropic and other vendors are putting an envelope around the LLM, telling it what to do, how they're using the character of the LLM. So it's an interesting find that you look at the prompt and understand how LLMs think, right? So from that point of view, it's interesting, but optional. I agree.
Paul, did you have a feeling on this one?
Yeah, no,
we go with optional.
Yeah, I think this is continue. I mean, all these LLMs are going to continue to have incremental feature improvements over the next decade, and this is one interesting one, but not notable for our AI leaders. I think if you're a practitioner on the ground, you want to do this, but not the leader.
All right, so we get the big O starting off here on a Wednesday morning. Excellent. Next, we go to NVIDIA and their NIM agent blueprints and how they're trying to create better, fundamental frameworks, if you will, for the creation of agents. Luda, did you have a feel for this?
Yeah, this is interesting. So NVIDIA is making a real push in getting enterprises to use their platform and building stacks of capabilities to enable them to do it faster. They introduced it earlier this year, I think in June, the NIM, and not blueprints, but NIM architecture. So this is the inference model that speeds up the inference, right? So, and now they're putting that agent and they call flywheels, the simplified versions of in the three areas that you see on the screen, customer service being one, the pharmaceutical discovery being the second one, and the third one I can see.
Multimodal PDF data extraction, right? Paul, John, that's what we were just talking about before the call.
Yeah.
You can give it a picture, you can give it a script, audio.
Yeah. So this is all very good. Given that NVIDIA is their position in the market, I kind of suggest that we do it as important. But in general, the news is an incremental improvement. So the news is optional, but I think important because of the presence of NVIDIA and in the market and the issue with runtime and ability to make it more efficient.
Yes.
Okay. Let me make the case for important. I mean, I think everyone's breathlessly waiting for the earnings call from NVIDIA this week, but I think the reality is that NVIDIA is its own Death Star that's exploding in this thing here. NVIDIA's market cap in itself is bigger than the entire financial industry. Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, UBS, all of them added together are still smaller than NVIDIA. And they are innovating and taking this money on innovating in so many different layers. It's not just some chip companies over in Taiwan that's sending something here. They have their own large language models. They're innovating on the robot side. They are profoundly changing, in my view, a whole bunch of dimensions. And I think it's really important for the AI leader to view NVIDIA as that and not just an Intel-like chip company from the old PC CPUs days. So in that sense, Luda, I'll support, or I agree with your important.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I thought. That it's necessary for the AI leaders to know about this, but it's an incremental step. They certainly haven't really perfected it. It doesn't seem.
Yeah, I'm totally comfortable with important. This is a huge area, and they've been working for decades now, or at least a decade, for building out the ecosystem. They did an amazing job. All right, so we have that. That one's going to be important. Let's go to our next one. We've got zero-based redesign, which I guess is first cousin to zero-based budgeting, from four partners out of Bain, three of them from Boston, that talk about how you're going to get real AI cost savings. Paul, what did you think of this one?
It's a long article. It's a bit self-serving because it's from a vendor. I mean, Bain's doing good research in this. I found the article itself pretty long and not particularly new ground. So I had it as optional.
Yeah, what do you think, Luda?
Yeah, we've talked quite a bit about, hey guys, early on, get a strategy. Don't just rush into the stuff, and experiment, because it would take money, resources, and the like. And then you have this little dinky application that doesn't get ROI, and then you will get questioned. So many people have not done this, and now it's time to step back. And another point we've always said, this is process reengineering thing, right? Always said that. So it's important for you to step back, look at where AI can fundamentally change what you're doing and implement it in those areas that can give you the best bang for the buck. So I mean, a year later, we have this article, so optional, Paul, but it captures all of these things that we have been talking about.
I mean, one of the things that's interesting, yesterday we had a very first AI leadership networking call. This is a peer networking program we're now offering for AI leaders, and we had 8 AI leaders. Chatham House rules, and it stays in there, but big companies. And was very interesting we're coming, Luda, back to your point. This is just digital transformation like steroids. All the basics haven't worked or haven't gone away. Project selection, we had a really good discussion on it. You're a big company. How many, rocks and pebbles do you have to do? If you don't get singles, you don't have the rights to do the home runs. But if you only do the home runs, you don't have enough smaller projects anyway. So really good discussion here. But the basics haven't changed, and you need leadership and strategy. And AI may be interesting, but if it's not linked to strategy, why are we even having a conversation? And you can't get scaled organization. Why are we having conversation?
Correct. Totally. I remember sitting with the CEO back when the internet was really starting, the CEO of a public company in the hardware space, lamenting that a little startup that using internet much better is valuation-wise higher than his, 20, 30-year-old company. And I said, well, you now can come back and do it better because you have more knowledge. And yeah, this was really daunting on a lot of leaders. Similar.
All right.
Can I just one shot across the bow? I want to lament about this Bain article for a second. There's this part towards the end where they're trying to sort of
excuse me for interrupting. If we aren't critical, what are we?
But they say they're like, these are key questions to ask yourself. Do we have a path to translating generative AI experiments into scale efficiencies and tangible financial return on investment? Do we have a clear perspective on how our organization will evolve as generative AI's capabilities rapidly advance? It's like, nobody can answer these questions. Of course, they just want people to flock to them for the help they need, right? Because this is big and scary and confusing, and there's a lot going on. So just be aware of all the pitfalls, right?
Yeah, again, I think a robot could have done a better job. This is platitudes. Platitudes meet the obvious. Have a baby.
Onward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, there are a lot of smart people at Bain, but whoever wrote this wasn't paying attention. All right. Definitely optional. All right. Next one coming up here. We have DeepMind in UC Berkeley, showing how to make the most of LLM inference. And let me go ahead and share this. Adam, what do you think here?
Yeah, I'll kick us
I'll
off.
get you
So
some of the text here.
probably the most notable part of this for me is seeing that Berkeley, who are on the forefront, at least in terms of coining terms around compound systems, and are certainly notable for their research, are in partnership here with Google and DeepMind, right? Because that you can imagine the sort of things that are going to come out of them doing research together. That for me was probably the most important thing to note. Probably, it's pretty cool what they're doing. They're going to be able to train models with much more higher efficiency. They're finding some clever ways to understand what the compute is doing and when it's doing it, and how they can basically leverage that understanding to train these models much more efficiently. For future models, that's probably going to be some great news. It just speeds up the already accelerating timeline of how all these things are going to go. But it's research, and it's something that will be impacting a pretty long-term horizon. So I considered it optional news.
Yeah, interesting. I was going to make the case for important, but not for the article itself, but the underlying model. I mean, the underlying paper, which you can click to. I think like over here on the right-hand side in the paper, and I only get a chance to look at it quickly, but you have this lovely trade-off between model size and inference versus model. So you can see in the smaller models, you're better off basically giving it multiple easy questions, smaller models, multiple prompts, as opposed to training the model. So I don't know. I was going to make the case for important because as the mature AI shops, start to think about true AI ops, and that this kind of stuff is stuff they should plan for, because not only are we going to have trade-offs between large and small models, but we're going to have trade-offs between training and inference. And then when you start, putting that up against what we're going to talk about later, Cerebras, we have these massive wafer chips, right? Then just how you think about where you would make your investments is going to change. But so I was going to make a case for important, but not essential because it's so early.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's this article, John. I agree with you. I think the sentence.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about the underlying research paper.
Still, it's a little researchy, but and long. But it is interesting that what's happening, the center of gravity is moving to inference optimization. And we're seeing more, even today, right? We're seeing 3 articles on the inference. How do you make it more efficient? So, and the problem is that LLMs take one token at a time and predict next thing, right? They can't do it in parallel. And so what people are now doing is trying to solve for that. And in runtime, in inference, and there are several different approaches. And so what is clear, this will change. They're already good approaches. And trade-offs between the pre-training versus optimization and getting the evaluation done at runtime and only providing the right answer, right? It's sort of the various memory versus inference and all of those trade-offs. So it is an important development. I'm not sure it's this article though, but Paul and Adam.
All right, we're headed toward optional. Any disagreements on this one? Can't hear you, Paul.
You're on mute, Paul.
Sometimes my wife would love to have a mute button. Sometimes she'd like to have a mute button off in real life. But it is optional. I think I do want to encourage the audience to subscribe and like us on YouTube and share some comments. If you agree or disagree, be a rating on the comments. We'd love to understand what your views are. But my view, this was optional.
All right, headed for optional, important area to pay attention to. Okay, we are now looking at Cerebras, this whole new inference capability that they've put together on their massive wafer chip. and they're claiming that they are, as you can see here, 20 times faster, and I think 1/5 the cost, if I remember right from down below. And the basic argument here is that if you're going to get inference done, you have to pass the whole model over, and it's a bandwidth issue in terms of how you pass the model from SRAM to the compute cores, as you can see here. What do you think, Luda?
This is where I actually thought it is essential. So Cerebras, I'm not sure how you say it.
Yes, whichever way.
Yeah, the first way, Cerebras. Okay, so they are a company that essentially the charter is to go head and head with NVIDIA, and they raised 120 million so far. They in the Series F, I think, in 2021, I want to say. So, and now they've come up with this completely new way, a new chip. It's hardware solution, but it is going on at the inference and the memory and the speed, right? So that's just the discussion we just had. So this is kind of a breakthrough. Realize it's hardware, but still, it is a real breakthrough, because 22 times much less cost and speed, some unbelievable times faster. This is what we need, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in production already. Yeah, here, and that is essential for people to know that this is happening, even though they might not shift to here. But I think,
Luda, do you know how far along they are with production and capacity and availability?
Capacity, I'm not sure. I've tried to look it up, what they have and where they have. They have locations in Korea and Japan, so I don't know where their production plants are. So, but I'm saying it's essential, not that everybody jumps
just to understand what's happening.
Know that NVIDIA is not the only game, and moreover, pricing wise and cost wise and the speed wise, this is happening.
We have the case for Essential here as a clear alternative to the market leader. Not sure exactly how much they've been deployed. What do you think here, Adam?
You know, I was initially, I mean, I could be swayed to important. I was initially on the optional end of things. It's cool that they're taking a different approach, and they have big chips, but and it's going to be a lot cheaper. But unless someone's literally looking to make purchasing decisions for H100s, or they're looking to, I guess if they're looking to a vendor that's offering them some sort of hosted GPU compute, and they're starting to find, like, I mean, it's worth looking for this or thinking about this. If you're thinking about getting access to H100s, this is something you should know about. You know, even as I say it, I think that means it's essential, but I was starting on the optional end of things and saying, you know, I could go up to important. So
it is. I understand that from the article that is API that you can actually, you know, use your application and call that those servers that they have deployed. So I don't know how much capacity they have, but it is available. So I really think that people need to know about it. Look at this bar.
Yeah, you've convinced me, Luda. I was going to put it as important, but I think you're right. It's essentially, it's such a different. If it really is 1/5, it is in production. We don't know how many people have deployed it, but and even Grok is in here. You know, is way more, way faster and more capable on inference, and this is almost double Grok.
The speed of Grok, yeah.
So yeah. So Paul, you okay? We put this for essential.
Sure, it's certainly essential. And I don't want to say the venue. There were a couple of events that we were working with MIT and NVIDIA on, and there were one or two companies that could not be on the same panel in the same room in NVIDIA per NVIDIA rules, and this was one of the companies. And so they are on the radar screen at NVIDIA, and I think from that's another reason to have them important or optional. I'll support either one. I think I think the cost thing is important. It's very interesting. One of the things that has come up a lot in some of the conversation I've had with the big companies, is where do we stop thinking about model optimization and move into cost optimization for API cost and everything else. And this is one of the many things moving to get those cost curves down in the next 2 years.
But it is not cost just, Paul, it's inference speed.
Correct.
Right. And that, say, if you have a customer service application that has a latency because it's a complex issue that is trying to get a lot of information about, you will get tired of it. So and as I said, we have serious cases deployed out there, right? So people will start looking, and they're expensive, but also the speed is an issue. So this is a capability, maybe not immediately available, but the capability that would address that. And so people will be less scared to put these production cases out there. So I just really think this is a very
good. I think it's great. I think the other thing is we've been doing a lot more planning for October 7th and 8th conference, the Generative AI World coming up in October. It's very clear much of that agenda is really helping the AI leader think about their 2025 plan and budget. And I think in particular in that, Lud, it really
yeah, it's important. And it's essential to know.
All right, we have essential. Sounds like a good one, and fun, interesting, fast. All right, let's head to our last article, which is from The Information. It's about OpenAI pushing its Strawberry Reasoning Engine. I think is an interesting name, but whatever. Paul, what do you think of this one?
The information continues to get little scoops from companies talking to people under NDA or breaking NDAs, or there's a different article about OpenAI running around trying to figure out where all these leaks coming from here. This is an article about some of the advanced research they are, particularly around some of the math. I thought it's mildly interesting. I think it's optional. I think it falls into of course, everyone's trying to improve everything. I think the idea of this, that one solution set is starting to give more and more thinking time for these really complex things is an interesting angle, but optional in my view.
Okay, we have optional here.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Luna, go for it.
I'm sorry. So another point about the inference issue. So in Strawberry, what they are doing is doing the similar thing that we saw with DeepMind and the research article, right? They are evaluating the result before they serve it, right? So that reduces the hallucinations and makes it much more clear and much more precise. So it's interesting that how we see almost like a thread through the articles today that it's inference based.
All righty. So we're landing on optional here. Adam, any problem with that one? Okay. So today we have optional for important from prototype to prompt with NVIDIA. We have optional on zero-based redesign. We have optional on DeepMind UC Berkeley and their compute. We have optional on the OpenAI Strawberry effort, and essential on Cerebras' new AI Wafer. Great. That's where we end up today. Any announcements for our audience?
No, I think just two things. One is continue to like and share. Second, if you're an AI leader and interested in our peer networking group, let me know. It's AI, it's invitation only. It's VP or above. But we had a fabulous meeting yesterday with the cohort 1. It's going to meet again at the end of September. And we're actively taking interest in cohort 2, which will start in 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Alrighty. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.